the tiniest scale, or at the for the smallest unit or unit of the creation, these are the laws that we need to understand. And if you don't find this astonishing or different than what we are learning, then definitely you should re-go through. So let's try to understand the interaction at a very tiny scale. Hope my presentation is visible to you all. So let's go for the first law of quantum physics, and that's duality between wave and particle at the same time. So you find there are two forms of existence. You find matter and you find energy. You have particle and you have wave. So these are the two forms of existence. And when these two forms of existence occur is dependent on observer, and that's where quantum physics stand different than classical physics. So this duality principle, let's try to understand. It talks, so the work of Max Planck, Albert Einstein, Broglie, Crompton, Niels Bohr, and many other scientists is based on this duality principle of existence of matter and wave at the same time. So this actually shows that we have a famous double slit experiment by the scientist called Young. After the death of this scientist, and it was around 150 years or 160 years after his death, this experiment was redone and understood in terms of quantum physics. So there is a central mystery of this experiment. So it is all about this small particle that you can see here. It's an electron that they have taken, and there is a slit. There is a you can say a platform which has got two slits. Okay, so when you pass this electron through these two slits, let's say from here. So when you in the first image, you can see that the electron is getting through these two slits, and there is a diaphragm over here. So when electron is behaving as a wave, it will show multiple patterns, and this is known as interference pattern over the diaphragm. And when the same or when the electrons are passed through the same double slit, for few times it will show only two slits over the diaphragm. And how it is different than this experiment is when you fix a camera, when you're looking at the electron, it will collapse the actual function of electron. And that's really, really mysterious. So kindly go through the statement which is written here. A stream of single electrons is fired at two slits and measured on a screen behind. So it was measured here. The camera is here. The observer is observing the electrons pattern here at the screen. Then they found an interference pattern forms, as if each electron were a wave that passed through both slits at once. Okay, so we will go through the other details of this statement later. Let us understand this wave and particle nature of electron. So you will find the in the other experiment where the camera is kept near the slit. So measure the electrons first at the slits. However, and you see individual particles passing through one slit or the other, and the interference pattern on the screen disappears. So just to understand the interpretation of this is when you're looking at the screen and electrons are passing through these slits, you will find interference patterns. And if you're looking at the slit, observing the motion of electron, and then you will find there are only two slits over the only two vertical lines through which is formed when electrons are passed through these slits, only two vertical lines on the diaphragm. So this means that electron is somewhere, it's somewhere somewhere knowing that it is being spied. So kindly go to the last statement. It says that it's as if they knew they were being spied on and decided not to be caught in the act of performing weird quantum. So this maybe. So this here in this experiment, first image, you will find electron behaving as a wave, and in the second experiment, you will find electron behaving as a particle. So you are looking at the motion of electron while it is passing through the slits, and then it will show only one or two vertical lines over the screen. So electron is kind of hiding its actual performance when it is being spied on. Then there was third experiment done, same electron gun, same experiment setup, and they found that and in this experiment they put camera, but they did not observe through camera, they just switched off the camera. Okay, so that was kind of fooling electron. So they tried this. I'm telling you in very lame terms. It will have many other technical jargons. You kindly go through these technical terminologies, and these are very interesting. So in third experiment, what I was telling is the camera was turned off, but yet it was put. Yet the electron was also aware that camera is turned off, and it showed the same interference pattern. So this is called as collapsing of function. So somewhere in the function of electrons, our observation or our consciousness played some role, and this is called as participatory universe. So this is where I would like to explain that observer acquiring information from a measurement plays a role in the measurement itself. So even if you are doing some experiment on these tiny particles, you won't be sure if these particles will show you real nature of them to you, or they will be just doing something just because you are observing them. So this is called as participatory universe, where your observation plays role in the performance of tiniest particle such as electron. Okay, a very tiny particle. And now this experiment, just few months back, there was a new research paper where they talked about 2000 amino acid combined molecule was also found in wave and matter superposition state. So this is also proved. This is also kind of an evidence which you can see in quantum biology. So you have many hormones, you have many proteins, you have so many molecules in your body which has got few thousands of atoms combining, and they may exist as wave or as particles. So you would say, what is the importance of this? Why we should know this? Why we should understand this kind of weird experiment? Let physicists do that, and what is the use of biology into it? So let us understand one thing here. If you try to trace a molecule, let's say if you try to study insulin, okay, if you try to study a simple molecule such as insulin, it doesn't have even, it just has hardly 56 atoms together, amino acid chain it has got. And this molecule, if you try to study, you will find its action in many ways. It will act on this receptor, it will act on that receptor, it has got this mechanism of action, other mechanism of action. At certain point of time, you will not be able to number the mechanism of actions. So many you will find. So every time you try to understand the molecule, it will change its momentum itself. It will change its behavior itself. So every time you're trying to understand a small molecule, trying to understand a mechanism of this molecule, and then you will find it will act in some other different way also. It has got many thousands way of acting. So your observation, your studying that electron, that particular molecule affects the function of that molecule, affects the not kind of function, but the presentation of function from that molecule. So this is where first law of quantum physics, that is duality between wave and particle. So whether to present electron, whether to present as wave or particle, is dependent on your own observation towards that particular atom or that particular tiniest thing. Second thing is quantization of certain physical properties, and it's not much, it's just that it suggests that it is the process of transition from a classical understanding of physical phenomena to a newer understanding known as quantum mechanics. So there is a new field emerging, and that is quantum biology. I would suggest many of you, if you want to pursue any post-graduation degree or something abroad, you can choose this field. It is very interesting and very demanding. So this is the process of kind of understanding classical physics law, looking them from the lens of quantum physics. So the first thing which I told you, you might have found it very, very weird. And the same principles, you try understanding classical physics or classical mechanics. So if you, as I told, we will continue the same example, the action of insulin, the action of this molecule, you will find a one way, one mechanism of action, and you will stop studying that molecule. But it is not so. Every time you will find a different mechanism, and why it is showing differently when you study, every time you study. So this understanding has to be looked from the view of quantum mechanics, and that is quantization of physical properties. Okay, so as we, okay, yes, so this is the interpretation of double slit experiment, which says that what we call particles, such as electrons, somehow combine characteristics of particles and characteristics of waves. That's the famous wave-particle duality of quantum mechanics, which also suggests the act of observing playing important role, and collapsing the actual nature of performance of these small particles. Okay, now let's understand the third law of quantum mechanics, that is quantum entanglement. Okay, a kind of weird, very, very weird. So this is the heart of which, which is different from the classical mechanics and stands at the disparity between classical and quantum physics. It says that if you consider two electrons, paired electrons, you tried, what you study in electron is basically its spin. It can be clockwise, anti-clockwise, upwards, downwards. So this is the spin of electron that you study basically. Its motion, its spin. So in these two paired electrons, if you find the properties of one electron, just one electron, look at just, if you study the properties of one electron, you will find the other electron showing exactly opposite of what it has shown. So this is something weird again. One electron showing the properties, other electron showing completely opposite properties. And this is called as quantum entanglement. And now the real magic is you separate these electrons as far as you can. You can keep distance, you can keep no medium in between these two paired electrons. You will find these two electrons always communicating, always having different spin, opposite properties. And that's where this is called as entanglement. Okay. We will go through the entanglement principle once again when it comes to quantum biology, which I will be going through. Just hints of it, not in detail, because we can't be covering so much. So that is quantum entanglement. And then there is a principle of uncertainty. Okay, so uncertainty principle was devised by Heisenberg in 1927. It states that the more precisely the position of some particle is determined, the less precisely its momentum can be predicted from initial conditions and vice versa. Let me simplify this. It says that more complex you go, more complex motions or more complex performance you will find. Okay, so more details you go in, you will find that particular small thing or atom which you are studying, it is behaving in complex way. So more precisely the position of some particle is determined, less precisely, that means your understanding will be very confusing regarding the performance of that particle. So you cannot be sure if this particle is behaving just because you are observing, or this is the nature of this particle. So that's where uncertainty principle comes into picture, where it says that nature also follows this weird principle. More you try to understand it, more it will take turns and it will confuse you. So this is just a dictum of uncertainty principle of Heisenberg. And then let's go for the last concept, that is quantum tunneling. So yeah, quantum tunneling. This is again a very, very weird law that you will find. It says that even if there is a potential barrier, even if there is a potential barrier or something which is through which nothing can be passed, something like that, even if there is a potential barrier, these small particles like electrons, these electrons can pass through. Okay, so let me read it out. The quantum mechanical phenomena where a subatomic particles probability disappears from one side of a potential barrier and appears on the other side without any probability current appearing inside the well. So it says that it is not predicted by the laws of classical mechanics. You cannot put into your logics. Okay, so this is completely different from classical mechanics or classical physical laws, and you cannot believe in this, let me tell you, where a potential barrier which can separate anything and everything through which these small particles can pass through. And it is just that they will disappear from this place and they will appear to the other side of this barrier. And this is how we'll explain, how transfer of many molecules, hormones or electrons or many other things in our cell, it happens from inside to outside of the cell. So you have cell membrane. You have such a rigid protein and nice lipid membrane. How these molecules transfer from one side of this membrane to other side of this membrane. Of course, you study receptors. Of course, you study pressure theories, hydrostatic pressure, and then osmosis and many other things. But this is also a quantization of physical properties that you have studied. That this can be also one of the ways where electrons or these molecules can just disappear from this place and can appear to the next place. I know it is very difficult to believe, but believe me, this is weird quantum mechanics. This doesn't fit into classical mechanics. Okay. So we studied duality, which is wave and particle. We studied entanglement, where two electrons or the paired molecules can connect to each other. We studied quantum tunneling, where even if there is a barrier, electron can pass through. Then there is uncertainty principle. More you try to dig in, more you will be confused. Now let's try to understand how yoga can be related to quantum physics. So there is an approach. You might have studied Advaita philosophy, Dvaita philosophy. So there is dualism considering mind and matter as two diverse and unconnected entities. Mind and body, two unconnected entities, that is Dvaita. Advaita is everything is one. There is no dualism, non-dualism. And this Advaita is again proven by yoga and Vedanta, as well as the recent quantum theories of modern physics. So this is what it says, that matter and wave, or particle and wave, these two can coexist. These two can exist at the same point of time, and both together, simultaneous existence of matter and wave. Similarly, your mind and your body. So this is something which we are trying to get the application of yoga here. So your mind, your existence, your mental existence, physical existence, both of them exist at the same point of time. This is very easy to understand being yoga student, or maybe being a normal man. You know that you are mentally existed, you have physical existence, you have intellectual existence, you have physiological existence, pranamaya kosha, annamaya kosha. So these existences, or these forms of existence, these are simultaneous. Okay, and that is where this quantum mechanics is also trying to support scientifically the theory of panchakoshas, that simultaneous forms of existence and duality or coexistence of wave and matter for the same particle, for the same electron. Okay, then there is mutable nature of laws. So a great physicist, John Archibald Wheeler, says there is no law other than there is no law. So you do not have any law actually in nature, because everything you try to study, right from the smallest particle, it is trying to it is trying to change its motion, it's trying to change its performance just because you are observing it, isn't it? So you, whenever you are trying to study a small particle, whenever you are trying to dig into the molecules and atoms and electrons, isn't it showing something different which is affected by your observation? So this is a mutable nature of laws. You cannot be fixed on a particular law. You have to be open for all the laws, or maybe at certain point of time you have to believe. That is all you can do, because everything is mutable, everything is unstable. And then there is the last dictum, which is my favorite, it from which. So it says that if it is the information which is available, or if it is the matter which is giving us the information, and bit is our understanding. Okay, so it from which. So the information which the matter is giving us is dependent on bit. That means you are observing the matter, and you are trying to extract some kind of information from that matter, and that is affected by your observation itself. So the matter will give you the information which it may not present. And let me give you a nice example for this. Now, if I try to interview somebody, and if I try to ask questions to somebody, very social questions, then what will be the answers of that person? Socially accepted answers, right? Socially accepted answers. They will not come up with the true answers. They will always be like what the interviewer think about me. What will the interviewer think about me if I answer socially unaccepted answers? So it is very difficult to extract the correct, accurate answer, or the feelings, or whatever you say, from the person sitting in front of you. He or she will always think that you are asking and you are being the part of interview, and that observation is playing the information which you are trying to extract from that particular person. So so that is where this stands, that where your consciousness plays very, very important role in understanding something, extracting the information from something, and that will be obviously affected by your consciousness. So, role of consciousness. I have focused more on participatory universe because other terms, quantum entanglement and the quantum tunneling, will go into the theories of parallel universe, and then other things like Ashta Siddhis if we try to correlate them with yoga. Okay, so I've just focused on participatory universe. Yes, for of course to generate curiosity, we will touch upon those points as well. So, role of consciousness. So, role of consciousness, as I explained. Then we have this Vaisheshika philosophy, where it says that the nature of matter is different, is Vishesh for something which is very, very small, and it is different for something which is very, very big. Okay? But the nature of smallest thing and the most biggest thing will be same. So if you try to study an atom, its rotation, how it acts, you will be ultimately studying planets and their rotation and the universe. So it says that yat pinde tat brahmandi. You start observing your own body, you start observing and studying your own molecules, atoms, and something which is at the tiniest scale. It will give you an idea what goes on the highest scale and the platform of universe. How the planets rotate, you can actually tell sitting here studying an atom. That's where Tat Yat Pinde, that is this body. Here is this body. You try to study this body, you try going and try analyzing the functions and everything. Studying this body is something meditation. And Tat Brahmandi, you will understand the universe. You will understand something which is at the highest scale. And this is about Vaisheshika philosophy, and then this dictum, Yat Pindyan Tat Brahmande. Again, I would like to highlight one more point of role of consciousness. So, in yoga, in relaxation techniques, maybe we say that be aware of your breath, okay, be aware of your heart functions, how your heart beats, and then the blood getting circulated all over your body, pancreas secreting lots of insulin, and your blood sugar getting controlled, all of that. So you are trying to consciously observe that particular organ, that particular function of organ. Then don't you think the molecules, hormones, or these small particles, which are actually knowing nothing, they are functioning, and if you are trying to observe them, don't you think that that will affect them? And that's where participatory universe play role, where these small particles will be aware that you are conscious of them, and they will perform their action in a different way. So if you want to heal something, and that's where quantum healing falls in the picture. So if you want to heal something from within, even with thought, you can do it. And this is a scientific evidence for that, that your consciousness modifying or playing role into your body functions or the changes what you desire to acquire in your body. The last very curious thing, very weird, but yes, it exists, Ashtasiddhis. I think for first or second years, it is a bit difficult to recall Ashtasiddhis because it comes in Hatha Yoga, and to some extent it comes in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. I mean, Patanjali also mentions about Ashtasiddhis. Obviously, in Vibhuti Pada, he explains about Ashtasiddhis, and you shouldn't be aiming for it as such, Vibhutis. But my question was always, is this possible? Are Ashtasiddhis possible? I mean, Anima, Garima, Mahima, Lagima, Prapti, Prakame, Ishitvash. Why? Something which, it is like something which can disappear, something which can travel from one place to other suddenly, and something which can grow big, something which can grow very small, something you can move, something which can be, imagined and done. So, how is this possible? And do you find some resemblance with the quantum physics and these Ashtasiddhis? Of course, I do find. Electron tunneling, something which can disappear from this place and appear to the next place. So can't that be one of the Ashtasiddhis which says that you can actually disappear and appear on the other side? No, this is just an idea. This is just to generate curiosity. Of course, this is not the statement which I am, this is not my statements. I'm just giving an idea. So you cannot actually scientifically go and tell people that these Ashtasiddhis are possible. No, I don't know if it is possible, but yes, why not? Why not give it a thought, relating it with quantum mechanics? Why not trying to believe it while relating it to quantum mechanics? Okay, so this is all about yoga and quantum physics. A very, like I have just touched it. You can go through the videos of quantum mechanics, quantum laws. Jim Al Khalil is the specialist in quantum biology and many other things. I think that's it. My time. I just invested 35 minutes, and I would like to answer the questions more. Mm, so how would I stop share? Okay. Okay. Yes. Can you? Yes, you can. This is free to ask the. This one is free to ask questions. Okay. Let me open the chat here. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a very brief presentation on yoga and quantum physics, just to generate ideas about it, create curiosity, and there are many authentic books that you can go through. Yes, the platform is open for questions. Any questions, please? And if you do not have any questions, I would like to highlight one more point here. Little interesting. Um, yeah, let me go through it once again. Okay, so yes, so here I forgot to talk about superposition of electrons. What happens is, now when electron passes through these slits and your camera is fixed at these slits, you're observing the motion of electron. You will find, let's say, this electron passing through only one slit and designing on the designing on the screen. So it will show only one horizontal vertical line. Okay, one slit, one electron through one slit. You will find it here. What happens here when it is wave-like, motion? What happens here? The electron is actually, let's consider one electron. This electron is actually passing through both the slits. So it is, you can say it is splitting and it is passing through both the slits. So it is coexisting. It is passing through both the slits. It is coexisting same time. At the same time it is existing, it is passing through both the slits and then again interfering with each other and then forming this interference pattern. Okay, so why this is called as interference pattern is because the electron is actually dividing or maybe doubling or maybe splitting and passing through both the slits and then showing this interference pattern. So this is called as electron superposition, where you will find from both the slits a single electron is passing through, and you are not watching this. Believe me, you are not watching this. If you are trying to watch this, if you are trying to understand this, then it will show only passes through only one slit, and that's where it is mysterious, and that's where it is uncertain, that you cannot be measuring it and you cannot be sure of it. But yes, with lots of experiments and with lots of understanding and theories and everything, they have come to this kind of temporary conclusion, you may say. So it is again under experiments and everything. So this is called as superposition of electrons existing on both the sides. Yes. Relating quantum physics with yoga is little difficult. Can you explain little simpler? Yes. As I told, it's the consciousness that I would want you all to understand. The role of consciousness uh, in healing, the role of conscious healing. Okay. So participatory universe, your observation collapses the function of electron. Your observation collapses whether the electron has to behave in wave pattern or pattern of a matter. And that's where conscious observation of your functions of our body will help or play important role in healing. That's how I would like to simplify it. And then, can you share more about higher studies in quantum physics in yoga as well as the scope behind the study? Um, I I have actually not gone into the details of higher studies in quantum physics in yoga, but yes, quantum biology courses are available. So there are many universities abroad, including I think Harvard University, offering the courses on offering the courses of quantum biology. You can also search on Coursera. You will find a few basic courses on quantum physics and quantum biology. And to understand it more clearly, I will type it here. Just go through his maybe videos or literature. Jim Al Khalil, a very interesting person, and he has talked about cryptochrome gene. So this is a clock gene. You know, we have a clock in our body, and this clock is somehow related to Earth. So we show time, our body shows time, which is related to the rotation of Earth. If you are not on the Earth and if you are not aware of the rotation of Earth, your body won't show timing at all. So you have got 24 hours circadian rhythm, but the circadian rhythm is actually for 25 hours. Your body shows it for 24 hours because the Earth's rotation takes takes place for 24 hours. That's why it shows for 24 hours. But if you are placed in a room where everything is black and you are not knowing the time of day and what if it is day or night or anything, if you are not aware of anything outside, that is known as Hedgeber's stimulus. If you are not aware of that, then your body will show 25 hours clock. And that's where this circadian rhythm is also very interesting, and it is again a quantum mechanics where this electron entanglement, one electron spinning in other direction, other electron spinning in other direction, changes few chemical secretions, have got few chemical specificity in your body, and that will have lateralization function, whether to breathe from left nostril and right nostril, whether to have nostril dominance, or whether to have secretions of your body timely. Your steroids get secreted in the morning, or your adrenals get secreted in the evening, something like that. Okay. So this is also a weird cyclicity of your body, and that again relates to quantum mechanics. So you can obviously study these small genes like cryptochromes, clock genes, PER and BMAL. These are the names of genes. So I will write it down here. Cryptochrome. You can just go through these genes. This person, Jim Al Khalil, talks about cryptochrome genes present in our retina, and that's how the bird can navigate the direction to which it has to fly. So it's very interesting. You can go for it. Scope behind the study, I don't know if there can be the scope behind the study, but yes, if you are very enthusiastic researcher, it's a great research field. And obviously, you need not go into the career of quantum biology as such. If you are very, very interested, you can go for it. But otherwise, if you just try reading it and try applying into your understanding of yoga and biology, it would be great. Very, very great. Because if you trust your system scientifically, you will be able to convince the person in front. Any more questions, please?
Ma'am, few of them can unmute themselves or raise their hands, so
Okay.
they can ask their question by unmuting themselves. If they're ready,
Yeah, yeah,
so
sure,
we
sure. You
can.
can unmute yourself and ask, or you can, drop a message to my contact number. You can WhatsApp me also, no problem. This is my mail address. Yeah, yeah.
Came to me, ma'am. So you have to again send it to them. It came to me, that message.
Yeah, yeah. You can actually directly
Yeah,
message me or
I'll
mail
I'll
me.
tell to them. So there is
Yeah,
one
yeah.
question in. Can you type the sloka yat sinandam? You have discussed this sloka in the class. Have asked this question.
Is there any relationship between quantum physics and meditation? Oh, yes. There is any relationship between quantum physics and meditation. Oh, yes, we can relate. Always we can relate. If you, I don't know how you can relate it. As I told, we are learning. I am not expert into it, but I just want to give you an idea. But yes, of course, we can actually relate this. Maybe um, I don't know how. Maybe the unification of your mind with the universe, where the superposition of yourself. I mean, this you call you what do you call it? This your own personality with this universal personality, where you try to join. This is called as yuja. Yuja is yoga, right? So you try to join this your uh, individuality with universality. So maybe this unification or superposition can be kind of application. I don't know, maybe, but yes, you can dig into it and try understanding it. Does this quantum physics plays role in technique of manifestations of our desire? I don't know. I don't know if this plays any role in manifestation of our desire. Okay. Hmm. I don't know yet. Maybe. You will have to search again. Yes. Any other questions?
Yeah, ma'am. One question is there from
Yeah,
Shruti.
yeah.
Yeah, that shloka you have told once, so you can repeat that shloka.
Okay. So, okay,
Yeah,
that Yat Pinde Tat
Vrindane.
Brahmande. Yeah.
Yeah, that one you can explain to once Shruti Sudarshan.
Okay, okay. So this is Yat Pinde Tat Brahmande is kind of dictum from Puranas. Okay, so this is quoted in Puranas. Uh, I don't know if the whole shloka is available, but this talks about microcosm and macrocosm. Okay, microcosm being your body, being yourself, and macrocosm being the universe. So it applies to every core of existence. So it can be your physical existence and physical existence of universe. It can be your subtle existence and subtle existence of universe as well. So understanding the concept, understanding the physical existence, this shloka you can quote. Okay, so understand your body, you will understand universe. Understand this microcosm, you will understand macrocosm. That's how it shows up. Shat chakra. Oh, quantum physics play role in activation of Shat chakra. Hmm, maybe it can play a role in activation of Shat chakra. Yeah. I don't know how it will play a role. I don't know how this energy subtly exists. Because see, quantum physics, you cannot, you cannot catch hold of it. You cannot actually hold to it. This is something which is very, very mutable. Even these Shat chakras, you cannot hold. You cannot actually find anatomically. That is, if you dissect the body, you will not find chakras anatomical. Yes, you will find glands, but glands are not actual chakras. Okay, the existence, the different the other form of existence of glands, you may call it as chakra, but you cannot actually find chakras. Same with meridians in acupuncture. You will not find energy channels, or you will not find nadis as such when you dissect. Okay, you will have to feel that at the different form of existence. So yes, quantum physics would play role in function of chakras or activation of chakras, where the existence is subtle. In that manner, it can be correlated. The subtler existence, weird mechanism, something which is flowing anti-gravity, man, it's completely weird. Yeah. Any further questions? Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you so much.
you, ma'am,
Yes.
for coming on this
Yeah.
platform, because many people are interested to know about this quantum physics
Yeah.
and how it works in yogic.
Yes.
So we are glad
Yes.
you are here, and we are looking forward for the further sessions. If any time for any other topic, can we
Sure.
communicate without speaking? Yeah.
Yeah. That is very great, Bhavit. Thank you for arranging such a nice platform. And I would come up with the maybe the answers of this question. I don't know if I can answer them, but yes. Um, so I will note down the names, and if I find answers for this question little satisfactory in my terms, I will contact you people. So Neha Baig, right, has asked this question. Neha. Okay, I will note down the names. Pooja Moda for very nice question for this thing, manifestation of desire. Nice. And relationship between, yes, meditation, Janvi. Maybe you can ping me on my personal number, so that if I find any answer to these questions, we can actually share. And higher studies, yes, Azuma Muhammad, I will get back to you again.
So everyone can give the ratings to our sessions. We have started the polling for 15 more seconds. So I request everyone can give their reviews to us. Shraddha is having a question, ma'am. Shraddha Mulina.
Oh, no, sir, that was my mistake. Sorry.
Okay, can we communicate without speaking by contact? Yes. Yes, that's where the Einstein is proven wrong. Einstein was saying light is the fastest thing which can travel. But electron entanglement shows that whether you keep one electron here and other electron in another universe, these two will communicate. These two will show entanglement. One is spinning in one direction, other will show the opposite direction. So yes, we can communicate without speaking, not through quantum mechanics, But there, I mean, applying the laws of quantum mechanics, yes, understanding this communication by quantum mechanics, and this will support it scientifically that how this communication without, involving the senses, yeah, all these five senses of communication, without involving these senses, how you can speak or how you can communicate. Yes, you can, and that is the, I feel that is the fastest medium, fastest medium of communication.
So, any other questions remaining,
Ma'am,
or
is
we
there
will
any
conclude
relationship in
the
quantum physics
session?
and vritti? Okay, vritti is I don't know. Pramana Viparya Vikalpa Nidra Sprutayah. Yes, it is weird when Patanjali talks about vrittis. It is actually not understandable by common people like us, because you cannot say right knowledge that you have to give up. You cannot say imagination, you have to give up. You cannot say nidra, that is sleep, you have to give up, or memory, that you have to mastery over. So these five chitta vrittis, pramana, viparya, vikalpa, nidra, sprutaya, it's very difficult for common man to understand why to give up or why to get mastery over it, or why to abstain from them. Is is actually another level. At another level, Patanjali is trying to talk, and it's very advanced. It says that these vrittis bind you down. Right knowledge is cannot be actually right, if you take it in other ways. Right knowledge cannot be right. How do you acquire right knowledge? Okay, pratyaksha anumana agama. So you will try to see, you will try to perceive through your senses, but your senses has got limitations. You can see only certain kind of wavelength. You cannot see more than that. And you will, and there are many birds, many animals in the universe which see, who, I mean, they have got another level of perceiving wavelengths. So they can see colors which you actually do not know. So you cannot actually dependent on right knowledge if it is right. And that's where uncertainty principle of Heisenberg also plays a role. So yes, we can correlate it with vrittis. Ki deeper you go, deeper you try to perceive, you will find that particular object giving you the information which has the role of your observation into it. Yeah. Some way we can correlate, yes, but again, it's a nice question to think. Thanks, Parvati, for asking. Okay, thank you all. Thanks once again. I have
Thank you,
actually
ma'am.
another,
Thank you.
yeah, meeting at 6 o'clock, so I'll have to leave early.
Sure.
Sorry.
So,
Yeah, it was very
time.
nice.
So,
Thanks,
we'll
Pavit,
conclude
for
the
arranging.
session.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll conclude the session. Thank you.
Thank you all.